Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, welcome. I am competing in my very first triathlon ever on September 23rd in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's an Ironman half triathlon. The total distance is 70.3 miles. It is a 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike ride, and 13.1 mile run. So I have been training for that for, I guess, the last 12 weeks. I'm doing a 16-week training program, which I have linked below. And as of today, I am 4 weeks away from race day, which is crazy. Yeah, I can't believe it so soon. I'm really excited. I just want it to be tomorrow, kind of to get it over with, and kind of because I feel like nervous and ready. But what's crazy is that as my training continues, I find I'm still improving. I mean, obviously, but I thought that I had gotten as good as I was going to get, but apparently not. So this week was actually a recovery week for me. So the way my plan is set up, it's 3 weeks of increases in distances and times, and then 1 week where it's a little bit lower. Then 3 weeks of increase, 1 week where it's lower. So I'm in a recovery week, and I'm really glad I'm following a specific set training plan because it has recovery weeks built in and it's clearly well thought out. I think if I were just kind of doing whatever on my own, trying to just like gradually always increase everything, I wouldn't have the benefits of the recovery week. And the recovery week has surprisingly, I don't know, I guess your body like gets accustomed to this high level of performance, and then when you bring it back a little, you suddenly have so much more energy and it's easier to go faster and things like that, which just shocks me, like I said, because I didn't think I could get faster. I'm not that fast. I don't know. So yeah, this week, a lot happened this week. Monday, I was very sore. I don't know why I was so sore on Monday, but I went to a yoga class, which I hadn't done in a while, but I was really glad that I did. It was my rest day. On Tuesday, Tuesday was my birthday, and if you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw that I encouraged everyone to do a workout using the hashtag #FoodiesBirthdayWorkout, and almost 100 people did it, and I compiled them all, and it kind of felt like we were all working out together, and it was really fun. Normally, I take my birthday day off of work, but because my training rides with my coach are on Tuesdays, I didn't want to take Tuesday off, even though it was my birthday. So I myself went on a birthday workout as well. We did a training ride as we normally do on Tuesdays. Now, Jackie, my coach, she's a trainer at the gym at my work. So this group ride is open to all employees, any employee who wants to join. I work at a big company and we're at the corporate headquarters, so there's like 5,000 employees at my location. So sometimes there's several people who join, sometimes it's just me, and it just kind of varies week to week, but I've been going every week. So there's some people I see them come back and some people who never come back. But anyway, also where we work, it's like in the woods of New Jersey. So it's very rural, which is lovely. We're also very near a swamp. So it's a national park, I think. And it's really beautiful. There are some routes that we take that are hillier than others, so she will choose the route depending on who's riding with us, if we do a hillier route or a flat ride. If it's just me, or if there are beginners, we typically do a flat ride because my race is very flat, and flats are better for beginners. But if there are other people who are training for other things or more advanced riders, sometimes we'll kind of do some hills as well. So on Tuesday this week, there was one very, very, very beginner lady and one very, very, very experienced lady who does like triathlons all the time, and me and Coach Jackie. So what ended up happening was that Jackie stayed with the very new lady and they did a slower flat ride. And I ended up splitting off and going with the super experienced lady. And now she had ridden with us twice before. But this time it was just me and her, and her name is Stephanie. And in fact, I think she works with or volunteers with a triathlon training group, and I think they're going to be at my race, so I might see her on race day. I don't know. But she's very experienced, so it was great to ride with her, with just her, and we got to chat a lot about training and about the race in particular. And she was just very reassuring. She seems to think I'm very ready, which, it's one thing for me to think that I'm ready, but I have no idea. But for someone who is very experienced to think that I'm ready is very comforting. And she just seems to have like utter faith in me. So that was really great. So what I was going to say is Jackie and the other lady took the really flat ride, and Stephanie was like, "You want to do some hills today?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "I think you can do it." I was like, I really haven't been training on hills lately. She was like, you can do it. Come on. It's just 3 hills. The first one's the worst one. And, she's like giving me all this advice. She's just like, scoot your seat back in the saddle, push your hips back and focus on my feet. I'll be right in front of you. Don't look up and, just keep breathing, breathe deeply. You'll be fine. So we do these hills and I swear to you, we got to the top and I was like, that's it? Wait, was that the hard one? Or is there more? I seriously pulled up to her and I was like, wait, was that the hard one? Did we start yet? What's that? And I didn't mean to be funny, but it was much easier than I was expecting. And she had built it up like this was supposed to be a challenge. And I guess that's just a testament to my endurance at this point, to my strength in my legs. And honestly, you guys, that race that I did a couple weeks ago, the Blairstown race, was so hilly still in hindsight. In retrospect, it was super hilly. And so now in my mind, I'm like, what we did on Tuesday was nothing compared to what that race was. And now I feel like if I could do Blairstown, I can do anything because that was so hilly. And I didn't have a good point of reference, a good point of comparison. But now I realize it was tough. It was really tough. I'm proud of myself for almost having finished it. If you don't remember, 3 miles from the end, I got a flat tire and had to quit. But anyway, I'm so glad I did it because so much of this whole process is mental. Just telling yourself, I've done so much harder than this. I've done so much longer than this, and I survived, and it was fine. So of course I can do this thing, whatever this thing is, and really just telling yourself that, it makes such a difference. I couldn't believe it because she had really spent a long section of this ride kind of mentally prepping me for these hills that we were going to attack. And then we did them and I was like, oh, yep, that was fun. So that made me feel really good. On Wednesday, I swam and I ran, but you guys, for the first time since my last recovery week, 4 weeks ago, I increased my swim time and I couldn't believe it. It was kind of a shorter set. It was 1,300 yards. But my swim times were about 30 to 40 seconds faster than what they had been for a 500. So typically the way I do it is I do 500 yards and stop and check the time, 500, stop and check the time. And it used to be at the very beginning for the first 8 weeks, 500 yards would take me 10 minutes. So it was easy to remember. And then after 4 weeks ago, last time I had a recovery week, it was instead of 10 minutes, it was 9:20 or 9:30, which was incredible. And now it's 8:30. Where did that come from? I have no idea. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't even trying to go faster. I was just going at what I thought was the pace I normally go at. So that was pretty shocking. Thursday, we went to Atlantic City after work. So I actually got up early and swam in the morning before work, which you guys know I'm not a morning person. But it was lovely to swim before work because I love swimming and it set me up for a really great day. And, I used to swim competitively when I was a kid and in high school, I used to swim, in high school and maybe even before high school, we used to have swim team practice twice a day. It was morning sessions and after school sessions. And so it just reminded me of my high school days. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It just made me feel really youthful. It made me feel really energized, but physically and mentally, I guess. I remember in high school going to swim practice so early and then you'd shower and then you'd go to class like all the other kids. And then after class, you'd go to swim practice and I just loved it. And the fact that my life mirrors that a little bit right now, it makes me really happy. I love swimming so much, you guys. So then after work, we went to Atlantic City. It's about 2 hours south of here. It was for my birthday, but also because I wanted to scope out the course. I have definitely heard a lot. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about prepping for triathlons, and they definitely recommend scoping out the course in advance if you can. So we went to Atlantic City. Also, my husband and I, we're from New Orleans. We used to gamble at the Harrah's in New Orleans frequently. And since we moved here, obviously we don't gamble that much because Atlantic City's kind of far. So they send me promotions for free stuff all the time, trying to get me to come back. And I had I still have many free nights available to me at Harrah's. And they're usually Sunday through Thursday or something like that. So, unfortunately, I can't use that for the day of the race because my race is on a Sunday, so we're staying Saturday night. But anyway, we used a free night at Harrah's, which was great. So we got there and they saw in the system that it was my birthday and they upgraded us to a suite. So that was really nice too. And it was all free, which was great. So we stayed up really late, gambling, having a lot of fun. It was just like, it felt like a mini vacation. It was a little tiny mini vacation, and it was refreshing and just great. Like I've told you guys, I feel like this training has taken up so much of my time. I mean, it's really a good like 18, 20, 22 hours a week that I'm training. And I feel like I haven't been spending a whole lot of time with my husband. Now, he's like totally supportive. He's like very excited for me. And he knows that this is like a short-term thing. I'm not like gonna do this forever. But it was just really nice to have some quality time together, just like hanging out and having fun. So Thursday night was great. We really, really slept in on Friday, which was wonderful, much needed. We gambled some more. Yeah. And then we scoped out the course, which I will tell you about in just a moment because I got some really good footage, I think. But I'm so glad that I did it because I was nervous that it wouldn't be as flat as they say. But it is. So I'm glad I got to see that with my own two eyes. So Friday I was supposed to bike, but then after we left Atlantic City, we went to Six Flags. We have season passes and we hadn't used them recently, so we went to Six Flags and we stayed there until the park closed at 10 o'clock at night. We rode roller coasters and just like, it was a wonderful day. I ended up walking like 8 miles that day because of all the things we did, but I didn't get my bike ride in, and this was like the first training day I ever missed in 12 weeks. But what I did was I ended up pushing that bike ride onto Saturday. So Saturday I was supposed to swim and run, but I also did the bike ride. So I did 2 training days in one on Saturday. And in effect, I did all 3 events, which was, I think, also beneficial. Good for me. So Saturday we came back and I did all 3 things. So I swam. Oh, but the pool that I normally go to, the YMCA that I normally go to, their pool is closed for the next 2 weeks for maintenance. So with my membership, I can go to other YMCAs. So there are 2 that are equally far from me. They're about 30, 35 minutes. And, but one of them is closer to my work. So anyway, I decided to go to that one on Saturday, kind of check it out. Whoa, you guys, this YMCA is huge. They have 3 like full-size pools for lap swimming in addition to like a children's pool area, blah, blah. Like the one I normally go to has 1 pool and like a hot tub, and that's it. And that's fine. That's enough. But this YMCA is super huge and super nice, and everything's like brand new, and their equipment is like incredible, like really nice. So I swam there. And in their aquatic facility, they have these big electronic clocks that are synchronized and very easy to read from a distance everywhere. So the pool where I normally swim, there's like a clock, but like a household clock. So after the 500 meters, and I normally do sets of 500. So like I stop, clean out my goggles, check the time, and then keep going. That's how I normally do it. So it's not, I mean, it's a short rest, maybe 20 seconds or so, and whatever. But at this YMCA, because I could see the time effectively the whole time while I was swimming, I think that kind of encouraged me to go faster. Because kind of like being on a treadmill where you're like constantly seeing your time and your pace. And that was incredible because this was a longer set. This was 2,000 yards, but still I maintained that pace of 8 minutes and 20 seconds per 500. Even at the longer distance. And I just couldn't believe it. I swear I thought I had like lost count of the laps because, you know, a 500 is 20 laps. So, you know, I thought for sure I had just lost count at some point, but I kept counting and it was right. And I was finishing well under 8:30. So it's not super fast in like the grand scheme of things, but for me, I can't believe I've improved so much. So I'm so happy about that. And having the clocks has really, really helped. So I'm looking forward to continuing to swim at that Y. And maybe even I might continue swimming there even after mine reopens. I'm not sure. So that was great. And then today I was going to a keto meetup here in New Jersey. It was like a lunchtime thing in the afternoon. So I woke up early and did my long bike ride this morning, which normally, you guys know I like to sleep in on the weekends and do my exercise later in the afternoons. But because I did it this morning, it was really nice, like a different way to manage my time, because then I felt like I had the rest of the day free. We went grocery shopping and all this. So unfortunately, 12 weeks into this, I kind of have finally figured out how to manage my time a little bit better, on the weekends especially, because the last many, many weeks I feel like my weekend days have been like just training and nothing else. So the way it worked out this time was really nice. Also having the day off from work. Anyway, it was just a really nice week, and I feel like I improved a lot physically and mentally. You know, I think this week has again reinforced the power of the mental mindset. You know, like I've said before, it's incredible how eventually things become easier if you just stay consistent with them. Even things that you hate, even things that are hard, if you just keep doing them, even if you're not very fast, even if you're not very good, just keep doing it. It eventually gets easier. And that's amazing to me. Also, you know, like with the hills, just recognizing, hey, they're not so bad. Hey, I've done worse and I've survived and it's not that bad. Just that mental shift of like accepting that you can do what you set out to do is really powerful. So anyway, I'm in a good place. I will show you a little bit of what the course looks like and what we filmed. And you guys let me know what you think. So there in the distance, you see it's a baseball field and stadium. And all of this flatland is where the transition stations are going to be. So it may not look that big, but in real life it looked huge. Now these little ramps into the water, this is where the swim start's going to be. And there's various ramps, so I don't exactly know how they're going to space that out, but you're not just like jumping into the water. It's a little bit of a ramp. So the water is actually very, very still, you know, like compared to the ocean. It was a little bit windy, but, oh, and you see that bridge there on the right? We're gonna run across that bridge down to the boardwalk for the last section. But anyway, the water was actually very still, and I stuck my feet in it, and it was surprisingly warm. I was expecting it to be ice cold, and it's about as warm as the pool feels when, you know, I train in the pool. So I was very pleasantly surprised about that. So then we're going to bike, but we went to the boardwalk next. So for the third section, I will run across that bridge down to the boardwalk. And then as you see, the boardwalk is super flat. So you just go 7 miles in one direction, then 7 miles in the other, and come back to this middle section here. So where this run starts, it's effectively in the middle of the boardwalk. You go all the way right, then all the way left, then back to the middle, and that is the end of the race. So then we did the bike part. Again, on race day, you swim first, then bike, then run. But we did the swimming first and the running first because we were on foot. Then we got in the car and did the biking section. But that transition station is the same. You come back to that transition station every time. So as you leave the baseball field, you drive on this road, which as you can see is wide and flat, for about 5 miles or so. As we went through it, I was kind of making verbal notes of where there are some potholes or just creases in the concrete that could be dangerous. That's actually how I got my flat tire when I did that race a couple weeks ago, was crossing over a like crease in the pavement that was deeper than I foresaw. So I definitely want to avoid those. But so yeah, I believe all of this is going to be closed to vehicular traffic. They said the bike course is 99% closed to traffic, so I don't know what the 1% is that will have cars on it, but it's a really big event, so I think it will be well designated. But anyway, so we go on this road, which, I mean, there are some minor climbs, but this is not hilly at all. You go on this road for about 5 miles, and then you get on the interstate for about 5 miles. Now, this on-ramp for the interstate is a little bit of a climb, but not too bad. Then you're on the interstate or I think we get on at exit 2 and get off at exit 5, so I guess it's about 3 miles. And again, this is super wide, super flat, well paved, which is fantastic. We go through the toll booth. Obviously, we won't have to pay a toll that day, which is great. Then we come to this off-ramp, which I believe will be maybe the only kind of dangerous part of the journey. As you can see, it's a little bit of a climb, it's a curve, and it's narrow, and I don't know if you can see, but it's bumpy. It's not very flat. The pavement is not great here. So the fact that it's a climb, it's narrow, it's a curve, and it's bad pavement, I think might make it a little bit dangerous. But other than that, the entire course seemed great. So if I can get past that section, I'll be okay. So then we're in this little town and we kind of make a loop through this town. Honestly, the directions on the website were not very clear. I'm so glad we did this because on race day, I mean, it's a big event. There's going to be thousands of people there. I assume there will be signs and it will be clear, but it might not be. And I have a terrible sense of direction. So just having seen it once and having these videos for me to reference, I think is extremely beneficial. I can go back and watch them and be more familiar with where I'm supposed to go. But anyway, we kind of make a loop through this town, and this town is all super flat as well, which is fantastic. And then we get back on the on-ramp, back on the interstate, back into Atlantic City, kind of back to where we started, and that's one loop. And then we do the whole loop 3 times. So that adds up to 56 miles. So for the most part, it's flat, it's wide, and it's well paved, which I'm really glad about. I have trained on some hills a little bit, as you guys know, but the fact that this is super flat is really reassuring, and the pavement is nice. I made notes to myself. Sometimes the shoulders were bumpy or gravelly or potholey, but I feel like if I kind of stay in the middle of the road and I don't bump into anybody, I should be all right. On the one hand, I really hope I'm not in a pack of people because that will make me nervous. I hope I'm kind of on my own a little bit. So anyway, I'm just really, really glad we did this. I'm so glad I got the footage that I can go back and reference myself. And I'm glad I'm just more familiar with the whole course. And now I am reassured with a little bit more of what to expect on race day. So if you guys are ever training for any kind of race and you have the opportunity to scope out the course in advance, I highly recommend it. At least for me, peace of mind wise, it's been hugely beneficial. All right, so that is it for me for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk with you soon.